Hi, Chris Kuzmal here. Today we're going to begin to look at how to implement the method called complex in our detecting whether or not a logical sentence is legal. We've already covered simple, but now we're going to cover complex, or at least begin to cover complex. And this is these are the slides for what did simple, and this is the full code for simple that we saw just a moment ago. In order to write the method for complex, we need to use another method called substring. We need to understand what it does. And so if I do abc.substring0, that gives me abc. If I do abc.substring of 1, that gives me bc, skipping the string of length 1 at the beginning. If I do abc.substring2, I skip the first 2. If I do abc.substring3, I skip the first 3. If I do ABC of substring 4, then I'm going to get an error. So it's worth knowing all of that, understanding how the substring method works. Now then, let's review our formal logic. What is a complex logical sentence? A complex logical sentence is either a negation, a conjunction, a disjunction, an implication, or a biconditional. That's it. We have now defined what a logical sentence is in formal logic. We're probably not going to be able to write the code for all 5 of these, but I bet we can write the code for one of them. But here's the code for complex. If someone else writes the code that determines whether or not our sentence is a negation, a biconditional, an implication, a conjunction, or a disjunction, all we have to do is create a great big disjunction amongst those method invocations, and we're done. See, we're using logic to write code. And we're done. Complex is done. We just have somebody else who solves the problems for these other 5. So let's see how many of these other 5 we can actually get through in our 5 minutes. Remember, what is a negation? A negation is a tilde followed by a legal logical sentence. So the key line of code that we want to write is something that asks, if S starts with a tilde, then we're going to return whether or not the substring, the rest of the logical sentence, S.substring of 1, whether the rest of the logical sentence is legal, okay? So we're kind of, also feels like we're using the method that we're writing in some level, but we're not writing legal anymore. We've already got that done. So all we really need to do is write the starts with method, okay? And so here is our code. And yeah, the starts with method has to be written too. So that's another method that we have not yet written. We're going to have someone else. I bet you're starting to think, I could write that code. I could write the code that determines whether or not the string starts with a tilde. All right. And then if the rest of the logical sentence is legal, then the variable rest legal is true. And then guess what? We once again use logic to write our code. We do a conjunction of negation and rest legal, and we return that. And that tells you whether or not the string S is, in fact, a negation. So all we need to do is write the starts with code. And we'll worry about that. I'm going to actually leave that as an exercise for you to do. By the way, we also have a bug in this code. There's a bug in this code, and I'm not going to tell you what it is here. We might tell you later on. Okay. Guess what? We do for the other 4 kinds of logical complex sentences, we do much the same thing. We determine whether or not our logical sentence is something legal, followed by the appropriate operator, followed by something legal, because the other 4 operations are all what we call binary. They have 2 components, bi for 2. So here's the code for biconditional. And again, we have helpers. The left half of biconditional and right half of biconditional are methods that we would have to write or have someone else write for us. But assuming that those were written for us, all we have to do is take the left half of the biconditional and the right half for the biconditional and do a conjunction. We use logic to write the code to determine whether or not a logical sentence is legal. And we return the conjunction of legal for the left part and legal for the right part. Now, as it happens, here's the actual biconditional code. Here's where we'll stop more or less from this talk. But you can take a look at this, study this, and then watch the next video to see whether or not you understand everything about it.